Hi, if you're a mortgage broker and you've been working hard to create more predictability, to have more consistency of your inbound inquiry, and you're finding that difficult to do, then I totally understand. If you are getting a little bit frustrated with some of the messaging you're seeing out in the marketplace where people promise the world and you've gone and maybe even invested in a program or two and the results seem underwhelming, then I get that as well. And of course, if you are wanting to have more predictability, have more consistency, and have more structure in what you do day to day, week to week, month to month, then you're in the right place. My name's James McCracken. I'm the founder of The Successful Advisor. And as part of this training series, I'll also be showing you, in fact, in the next few slides, I'll be showing you why a lot of your marketing, and certainly a lot of your paid marketing, if that's the route that you go down, is almost certainly doomed to fail or doomed to get you completely underwhelming results if you continue down the path that some other people would have you believe is the best way to go. Now, that might seem like a big call, might even seem a little bit confrontational, but I can tell you that if you're in my situation where you're having the conversations I have as regularly as I do, with as many brokers as I do, which is to say, lots of people like this talking about lots of situations and trying to improve their business, then you would understand why I get a bit frustrated that they've been led up the garden path. They haven't got anywhere even remotely close to the results that they'd like to be getting. And they're at a point now where they're thinking, well, I just need to get this to work in order to get more of the results that they want in their business. So we'll go through who I am in just a little bit, but just contextually, I just wanted to share with you this. So if you can see it, it says that, sorry, I'm going to get this around the right way. This guy was talking about the fact that he had, and you can probably see, where is it? 10 grand ad spend on Google AdWords. He was paying $19 a click. $19 a click. So that's here. He then spent 4.5 grand on someone else's course to teach him SEO. And this is a broker, yeah? So 4.5 grand on an SEO course. And 10 grand setting up and doing his own Google AdWords. Now, this guy is someone else I've spoken to who to date went to a social media company. They were happy to sign him up and they promised that they could deliver some really great results. And so he's got 115 what you might call opt-ins. He's had 78 that have had a valid phone number or email, 50 that have had both a valid email and phone number, and yet to date he's got 0 conversions. None of these people have converted into a client. Unfortunately, that's what I mean when I get a little bit frustrated, because unfortunately I have to have conversations with these people where they're now at their wits' end around what they need to do and how they get it done. And they also become skeptical, frankly, of people like me as well, because they've already had bad experiences with others in the past. So I get that. I really do. And hence why I wanted to share a couple of things that I think might be useful for you in terms of your business to get more control, get more structure, and ultimately get better and more of the results that you're working very, very hard for. So, big breath. Are you ready? Rub the hands. Let's get into it. I'm going to change over to my screen. Here we go. So, let's have a look. Like I said, just very briefly, who am I? So, in a nutshell, I've been working in and around the advertising, the marketing and the sales industry for the past 13 years. I've quite literally written thousands of ads, most of them small ads, but I've done it, thousands of them, not one or two. I've worked on marketing strategies with clients, and certainly I am well and truly familiar with the sales process and how to convert an inquiry into a paying customer. So with that said, with an area and specialization with mortgage brokers these days, and I just mentioned something a second ago about marketing strategy, and that's the one thing that's often missing. So when I said that things are often doomed to fail, it's because people that promise the world and where they're happy to quickly sign you up for what they got, they're rarely asking you about, well, what's your point of difference? How does your reputation, how does your product, how does your service, how does your mortgage broking business have what is it about your business that's unique compared to the opposition? How do you stand out in a marketplace that, quite frankly, it's a little bit hard to stand out in? How do you say your messaging in a way that's compelling and resonates with your marketplace and talks about the aspirations that your customers have, or maybe the fears and the frustrations that your customers have? And who are you saying it to? Is it the first home buyer? Is it the refinance client? Is it the astute property investor that wants to expand their property portfolio? Because I got to tell you that if you're trying to do, the all things to all people, and you end up having a message that will more often than not resonate with nobody whatsoever. And most of the time, my observations are that a lot of people have gimmicky things that sound really good, but like I said, it's all well and good to go out there and get 115 leads, but you want your leads to convert. And that's why you need to get this part right first before you then go down and work out, well, which platform are you going to leverage? Are you going to leverage Facebook? And if so, is it going to be the ads or otherwise? So yes, there's plenty of mediums that you can use. And through this 5-part training series, I'll be showing you lots of different examples as to how you can create more structure and get more consistency. And I'll even walk you through some case studies of my own clients. But suffice to say, I want you to get it right. I want you to get it to work for you in the best possible way, because frankly, you're already working hard enough. This isn't about working harder. It's just about taking what you do and refining it in order to get better and more from the time and the effort that you're already putting in. So with your business in broking, there's invariably 3 key channels you can use. One of which is the free channel, the other which is partner, and the third of which is paid. So when I talk about marketing strategy and I talk about ad spend, clearly that's around the paid channel. Free is obviously the first of these 3, and free would be around things like customer referrals. It would be around potentially, if you like writing a blog, maybe you send out an email, weekly or monthly, although perhaps I say free, but maybe you're paying an external company to do that for you. If that's the case, well, technically speaking, it's not free, but you want to get a return on that effort and that time and that money that you're already spending. If you are potentially networking, well, for the most part, it's free insofar as it's not going to cost you much, if anything, or it may cost you a small amount through a membership. But again, you want to get time and effort from that hour or hours spent invested into relationships with other people. But free is definitely a key platform. Certainly customer referrals can and should be a key mechanism for driving your business forward. And depending on where you are in your journey, if you're really new, you're not going to have a great deal of customers to draw upon yet. If you're more experienced, then chances are that you have got an established customer base, and we want more of them to come out of the woodwork, so to speak, and to fly the flag and to recommend and introduce you to others that they care about so that they can help them as well. Partnering. This is the second of the 3 platforms, and partnering is very much around engaging with an accountant or a planner or a conveyancer or a solicitor or the local hairdresser, or maybe it's a real estate agent, or maybe it's a few of these. What I don't advocate for is having lots and lots and lots of referral partners if you can't manage good quality relationships with them. I would much prefer, and I typically recommend, that you start with small, intimate, ongoing collaborative relationships where you can work more cohesively with fewer people, which quite frankly is easier to manage than having lots and lots and lots of relationships that you need to keep after. You'll find that there's usually a direct correlation between the better the communication, the more frequency of communication, the higher the levels of trust and engagement, and assuming that they're on the same page and that they actually want to build a relationship with you, there's typically a better exchange, a more reciprocal relationship in terms of the results that you provide to them and that they provide to you as well. Now, I could go on a little bit here, and I'm a little bit hesitant to do so from the point of view of trying to keep these videos short, but suffice to say that sometimes some people have got a personality that is more extroverted and geared towards what I'd call, say, the real estate marketplace, and some people have got more of an introverted, conservative style of communication that might be better served by interacting with other professionals. That's not a judgment on my part. It's more of an observation around trying to use your personality and play to your strengths rather than to potentially trying to work down avenues that may not be best suited to you. And the third of which is paid. So I said earlier that a lot of the times there's plenty of people that will happily sign you up for stuff, but not really talk about a strategy, and ultimately we end up running a tactic, not communicating the right message in the right way to the right audience at the right time. And as a consequence, you spend 10 grand on Google AdWords without getting the results, or you end up getting 115 leads, or whichever the number, and not getting a number of appointments or the number of the submissions and settlements that you want. Not surprising when you don't have the right structure in place. So paid can definitely be an extremely profitable mechanism for you, but you need to have the right variables in place. So spending the money, that's not the hard part. These platforms are very happy to take your cash. We just need to make sure that we've got it optimized and we get that optimization piece or that structural piece right first. Otherwise, you'll end up having what I call a leaky bucket, and it becomes a very costly exercise very, very quickly. But they're the three key platforms that you can use: free, partner, and paid. I've got this example in here because this is a recent client of mine, and we went through what I call the deal flow strategy call. And as part of that call, he's prepared a bit of information to help him understand, and me, understand more about where his inquiries are coming from, so we get a better sense of what's working in his business right now. So being that this person's in a franchise group, they're getting quite a few what they call head office leads, and he's getting leads obviously from other different sources as well. Based on that strategy call, we've identified some specific actions he can take in the short and the medium term to build up the quantity and quality of inquiry for some of these other channels. But I want to pose the question to you. What would you be doing if this was your business? Where would you see the gaps in terms of where you think you could be spending more of your time, or what might be a concern or a risk to you, and how you could fix that up to start getting more momentum, getting more inquiry in the areas that you would like to get your inquiries from? And by the way, I don't want to make judgment calls. I know that some brokers get lots of inquiry through digital. I know that some brokers get lots of inquiry through their partner channel. And quite frankly, I know heaps of brokers that get lots of inquiry through their customers as well. It's not a right or wrong, but it's important to have clarity over which channel or channels are going to work best for you without, and this is the key thing, without getting yourself into a sense of overwhelm, and certainly without biting off more than you can chew. So I'd much rather that you have fewer channels and use them effectively and make them work really well for you, rather than just doing a bunch of things which keep you busy, but they're not really optimized, they're not refined, and potentially they don't deliver quite the result that you would like. So with that in mind, I'm going to pose a couple of key questions, because I want to take this training for you from being something that's just theoretical into being practical and relevant, so you can apply it and start getting some progress, start getting momentum in your business. What are you great at, and what can you do more of? So if you're really great at the customer service piece, if you're really great at asking for client introductions and recommendations, then I would suggest that you continue doing more of that, because you're probably able to leverage that quickly to get better results. If you're great at building collaborative relationships with other referrers, then I suggest that you invest more time and energy into that medium, or that you refine that medium to get better outcomes, rather than going and chasing a new shiny ball that seems exciting, but for which there's usually always more time and effort involved in getting it right than what it seems. So what are you great at, and what can you do more of? What can you refine to be better at one or two things, rather than, as I said, going out there and chasing a whole bunch of new things that seem fun, seem exciting, seem like they could be on autopilot, which more often than not, it's not as autopilot as some people would have you believe. but I want you to find what's going to be the mechanisms that you can leverage in your business, paid, partner, or free, in order to start building progress. And what's the one thing that you could do in the next 24 hours and apply yourself quickly to one task in order to build progress? So, for example, I spoke to a lady just a few days ago, fairly recently, and I gave her a call. She's a member of my program, and I called her out of the blue and I said, look, you know what? I just wanted to check, how often do you ask for client referrals? And knowing her personality type, she's very, what I would call a conservative, thoughtful, caring person. And she would be the type of person that wouldn't want to overstep the mark. And as a consequence, not surprising that she said she doesn't ask for referrals. And not surprising that, unfortunately, she hasn't had anywhere near the number of referrals that she would like. And so we talked about a little bit of language that she could use to start asking for more referrals in a way that's comfortable for her, that doesn't seem pushy, it seems natural, and that is easy for her customers to receive. And so she sent me this email talking about how she sent something out, she made a phone call, she then followed up with an email, and she received a response saying that someone had passed on her details already. Now, obviously the next best thing would be for you to get those details rather than your details be passed out there, but it's progress, and I want you to be making progress, and I want you to make it quickly. So in training number 2 in this series, we're going to be covering off what I notice are some key mistakes that are made on a regular basis, and things that you could do that will have a profound impact on your messaging, on your effectiveness of your marketing campaigns. This doesn't just relate to all things paid, but it is definitely some key things that I want you to be aware of, because it's where we can turn this 10 grand spend or this 115 leads into better results. And by the way, I say leads, I would say that they're fairly coldish leads. I mean, these are certainly not 115 people that are lining up to have a conversation. They're probably closer to the suspect stage or the prospect stage as opposed to the quality lead stage. But in any case, I want to walk you through some structure around how we can fix it up and how you can start getting better and more results for the time you're putting in. So until episode number 2, take care. It's James McCracken from The Successful Advisor. We'll speak to you soon, and bye for now.